Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm sorry, Bob is not here yet. Actually, he was here, but he got disconnected, I think. Kip is so early, as always.
I think everybody is there.
Right. Actually, I saw your name first. Like
Oh,
you entered
okay.
2 minutes before. I mean, 2 minutes early.
Oh, yes, it was it was holding. Yes.
Right. So we're just waiting for Bob. I don't know what happened. Maybe he's having technical issues because he let me in and then I lost him. So we'll just wait for him, okay? Okay, I just got a message from Bob. He needed to reboot his computer because his mouse was not working, but he's getting in. I do apologize for what happened. Actually, if you're muted.
Cabot.
He's getting in soon.
Nice to know we're not the only ones with computer problems.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Right. How are you all doing?
Good.
And where are you from, Stacy?
I'm from Maryland.
Oh, okay. How's the weather?
It is 69 degrees and the stink bugs are out and the cicadas are coming. So we have all kinds of fun in Maryland.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I mean, the temperature is fine, but
Oh yeah,
because
the
here,
temperature's good now. It's going to hit about 90 by Friday. So for right now, it's
Ooh.
tolerable.
Yeah.
I
It gets
see.
humid as well.
Not quite yet, but it will be.
Okay.
It'll be by Thursday.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll have more bugs.
Ooh, not good.
I'm fine with bugs, but not with a very hot temperature like here in the Philippines.
Oh yeah, my
And
husband's from the Philippines. We totally are aware of that. Oh yeah, it's hot there.
noontime it's right now. Nowadays it's 102
Oh,
noontime, and
wow.
I don't like it actually.
No.
I'm good with bugs, but not this kind of temperature.
It's very, very muggy over there, right?
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Bob is here. Okay, I cannot mute in here.
Hello. Hi.
Sorry about that.
I'm back. My mouse froze up on me, so I had to reboot my computer. I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone here for a second to avoid some feedback because we're getting some feedback from some people.
Okay, we're glad to have you now, Bob. Can you make me the a co-host?
Sure, Phil.
Thank you so much.
Hang on a second. Let me get you on the panel here, and there you go. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yeah, that hasn't happened to me in like years, so it's a strange one. I don't know what happened, but we're back now. So thank you, Phil, for helping me out and getting the meeting started. And welcome to understanding the cloud. So hopefully you're in the right place, and we will be talking about the cloud today and learning a few things about it. Okay, welcome everyone. So you know a little bit about me. I'm Bob Cohen. I'm your guide, and hopefully my mouse won't freeze up again on me and we'll be okay. And so we're going to talk about technology. I've worked in the tech industry my whole career. I've owned my own internet company, and I'm hoping to help make technology easier for you to understand. And we Get Set Up, we're a learning community. You can request a recording after class if you're interested at help@getsetup.io. If you're joining by live stream, we encourage you to join us at getsetup.io. Register for a free account, register for a class, you can participate. And we're not paid to promote specific products, although we might talk about a few things. Let me go through the agenda real quickly, and then we'll take a look at some questions we might have about what we're going to cover is what is the cloud and where is it really exist, how the cloud can help you. And we'll talk about some of the major cloud services. Okay, so let me see what's going on here, and we'll talk about what we have going on for people. So is there anybody that has any specific questions they're hoping to get answered about the cloud today? Because we're going to talk about explaining the cloud as opposed to necessarily how to use it. We have some great classes on how to use the cloud that might help you out, okay? Sandy, you have your hand up.
Are there fees for some of the stored services?
There are some fees. We'll talk about the major cloud services towards the end, Apple, Google, and Microsoft, and what they charge, and whether or not it's worth paying for or not, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and is it Joanne? Is that
Joni.
right? Joni.
Joni.
Okay, sorry about that, Joni.
No problem. I'm not tech savvy at all. And on my iPad, it's been telling me for about 2 years now that my cloud is full or something, and that I have to buy more cloud space. But I continue taking pictures, I continue screenshotting, and even though it tells me all the time I have to do that, I apparently have room left. So I'm very confused about all this.
Okay. Well, that's an easy one. We'll talk about that when we talk about iCloud. But the story on that one is that you have memory on your iPad and you have memory in iCloud. It's the iCloud memory that's full. It's the iCloud storage that's full. So that's what's going on with the cloud there, is that you have more, you are using things in the cloud for typically for backup and maybe a little bit of storage, but even when you back up your device, you are using iCloud's storage space. And so that's what's getting filled up, not your iPad memory.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Carl, go ahead. And then I have a couple of questions in chat. Go ahead, Carl. These are good questions.
The thing that interests me is I want to sync to the cloud, but I don't want to copy, like there's a lot of photos. I don't want to copy on my computer. It takes up a lot of space. So in other words, I want it to be in the cloud, but I don't want it to replicate on my computer. I want to save the space on my computer.
Okay. Yeah, there are controls in each cloud service. It depends on the service you use, how you actually make it work. And probably is I don't know how many of you have taken any of the classes from Get Set Up on OneDrive or iCloud or Google Drive, but depending on which cloud you use will determine which of those classes you may want to take. Helen has a question. Are clouds equally safe and secure? And can you use more than one cloud? They are very safe and secure, and depends on your password more than anything else, whether it's safe or secure. If you have a password like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's not a very secure password, but the cloud services themselves are very secure. And you can use more than one cloud if you want to, just like you can put more money in different banks. You can put money in different clouds, or you can put data in different clouds. And Jim had an interesting question. What is the significance of .io in our web address? Well, I'm probably one of the few people that knows what that is, but when you, whatever is to the right of a domain name, and I'm going to put up my slides here so I can draw a little bit at the same time. Hopefully my mouse will keep working for me. And when you have something like a .com, or you have something like .io or .edu or .gov in a domain name, and we are going to talk about domain names and URLs, those things to the right of the dot are actually controlled by an international organization, and they can't be created randomly. And they're in the United States, we created .com, .edu, .gov. We didn't really create a .us to start with, but in other countries, when they started to get on the internet, they created a .fr for France or a .ca for Canada. And .io was something where the Indian Ocean got its own domain name for some reason. So it's a top level domain name, TLD, for those of you that care to know all those details. And Phil's posted some things in here. So it's assigned to the British Indian Ocean Territory. So it's actually a territory. It's not the ocean, it's a British Indian Ocean Territory. Thank you, Phil, appreciate that. Clouds are backed up. We're going to talk all about clouds and all types of things, okay? So little internet trivia for you there. You can press your friends and family because now you know what the .io stands for. Okay, let me go through a couple of slides here to help you out in understanding cloud. I'm going to change my slot, a few things on my screen so I can see people at the same time I am presenting slides. Okay, so excuse me a second while I do that. And now we're all set. Okay, so the cloud is a bunch of computers that are connected by cables and wires and other things that are simply outside of your home. As soon as you leave the home, your home with something, a message or data or something else, it's considered to be the cloud. Okay, so you have things physically in front of you. You have an iPhone, maybe you have a laptop, maybe you have an iPad, in front of you as well. These are things that are physically in front of you, and they connect on the internet, and they communicate somewhere. That's the internet, and the cloud and the internet are sometimes used interchangeably. There's no specification for what the cloud is. It's a marketing term. So it's kind of like fast, simple, easy, right? Those are marketing terms. And the cloud just kind of came about because people that drew computer diagrams on whiteboards got tired of drawing a lot of little boxes, and they said, let's just make this a cloud instead. And computers were connected up to the cloud. But it really exists. That's the important thing. Okay, so where most of it exists are in things called data centers. And a data center is a facility for computers. This is a picture of a data center that I have, and there are not very many people in them. They're typically cooler because computers generate a lot of heat, and it's just set up of rows and rows and rows and stacks and stacks and stacks of computers. And they typically, data centers are connected to the internet because that's one of the most common things that the data centers are used for, is using things on the internet. And they're often owned by a company or an organization. Apple, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, governments, universities, corporations, et cetera, things like that. So those are all things that are part of the internet. They're data centers, and this is where your data is. There's computers with disk drives, there's computers with maps. So when you get your email, there's some computer somewhere in some data center that's using the, running on the internet that's receiving and sending your mail and then forwarding it to your computer at home when you get to it. And they're all over the world. They're all over the world. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of data centers all over. Cables connect data centers together. And so there's a interconnection. There's actually submarine cables that come out of the water. There's data center maps. I'm going to show you a submarine cable map here of some cables that are just all over the world. This is just some of them. These are undersea cables. I don't know if you remember the old days of telegraph, but at one point we put telegraph wires under the ocean, right? We laid them out. Now we lay cables for transmitting data, okay? And they're typically made out of fiber glass, and they're sealed and they're protected against the elements, and they're laid underwater to connect, country to country. We have them in the country as well. Typically, when you see a road being dug up by your local city or organization, they're digging, some service is digging it up in order typically to run cable. Okay, so we have a lot of cables running all over, next to roads, next to railroad tracks, overhead. But all of these data centers are connected by cable, and you have a cable that comes to your home as well. That's typically provided by your internet service provider. Now, I found a data center map. This is just a bunch, and you'll get a link to these in the email that comes after class. But there's hundreds and hundreds of data centers all over the world that house our data, house the cloud, house maps, house other information, and hold all types of things for us. But it's kind of interesting. There's a, if you're ever interested in physically seeing, I was lucky I had the chance to work in some data centers and visit them when I was working in the internet business. Okay, so what's in these data centers? Well, the computers in these data centers do a lot of different things. Okay, one thing they hold are websites. So when you go to visit getsetup.io, it's in some data center somewhere that you get to. When you go visit google.com, when you go visit your bank, when you go visit something else. And so they usually have multiple copies of something in different parts of the country or different parts of the world. So if one data center gets broken and damaged, the data is still available somewhere else. Or if one cable gets broken or damaged, there's another path to get to it from somewhere else. So that's called resilience in the technical world. And so people in computer industry like it when there's a resilient service, when things can pick up the work automatically if something fails. So if a cable gets accidentally cut, things might slow down, but it might not stop them completely. That's all it really does. Kind of an interesting way that it's all got built. Jim said a computer center could be opened by a sysop. There are a lot of old terms for them out there. And it's kind of interesting to look at the history of all of this as it's gone. Okay, so websites are one thing that data centers hold. Storage is something else that data centers hold. And this is where we can kind of relate to it, as we have our local computer, but we might have storage in a cloud. So Apple might have a cloud, Microsoft might have a cloud, Google might have a cloud. There's lots of different clouds out there, okay? And there are technically places where computers exist that have disk drives that hold the data and the files that you want to store in the cloud. So you've got your laptop or desktop at home like this, and then you've got an internet connection, and then you've got a connection that goes out from your internet service provider to some data center somewhere, and you've got some data that you have stored on a cloud disk drive. It's actually a physical drive. It's just located off in a data center somewhere. And that's what it is. So clouds can be websites, clouds can be storage, clouds can be email services. If you use Gmail, for example, your mail is kept in Google's mail systems in the cloud, and you get a copy when you want to get it locally. And so the cloud is something that we use when you have money in a bank. I don't know if you've ever done a mobile deposit from your smartphone. Anybody ever done that? Okay. Somehow or another, the bank knows to credit your account. But did you actually ever touch a physical dollar bill, or a 10 or a 20 or 100 or 500 or 1,000? You never touched physically the money. You took a picture of a piece of paper that had a number on it, and that represented money. And somehow or another, that image made money show up in your account. Now, that's pretty much like magic, you know. So the cloud seems simple compared to that, I think. But when you have money in a bank, it's kind of like having data in a cloud. Maybe you have a bank account. Most people have more than one bank account. I mean, I have like 2 or 3. We bank because we bank different ways. And so if you have money, say, with Charles Schwab, and you have money with Bank of America, it's in 2 different banks, isn't it? So if you go to Bank of America branch and you say, hey, I have, $500 in my Charles Schwab account, I'd like to withdraw that. And the teller is going to look at it and say, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Cohen, you're going to have to go to Charles Schwab to get that money out, because we just have your money in Bank of America. So we understand where to put different things, right? And that's what the cloud is like. If you have some data in iCloud, it's with Apple. If you have some data with Microsoft, it's with Microsoft. If you have some data with Google, it's with Google. So you can use, just like you can put money in different banks, you can put data in different clouds. It's just data. It's just a file that you're storing there. That help? You understand it? That make more sense now? Okay. It's just different. It's a bank for data when you're using cloud storage. Okay, let me go on to another slide. So you connect to the cloud from your home. Okay, you've got a computer, you've got an internet service provider, and they have a cable that connects them to the internet, and they get you out there. Sandy, you have your hand up. You have a question?
Yeah, on a previous screen, you said that all the computers are connected by cables undersea.
And
why aren't they just connected on the cloud?
Well, a physical cable has to get, the cloud is a word. Okay, so the cables and the data centers all make up the physical cloud. Okay, it really exists. Okay, and sometimes there's some wireless connections too. I mean, sometimes people do things by satellite. I have a friend that works for a satellite company, and I don't know if you've ever seen like a gas station that has a satellite dish on top of it. Sometimes they have that, and they're constantly transmitting their register transactions to a central location for that gas station company, so that they can keep track of how much gas is being used at a particular gas station and tabulate them all together. So there is a physical manifestation of the cloud in some form everywhere in the world, except if it's radio waves are a way you can't actually see it. But the physical computers exist, the cables exist, the satellite dishes all are physical things that exist that make all of this stuff connect up together.
But why are the cables necessary?
Why are they necessary?
Yeah.
Well, because they're much faster and much less expensive than sending things over microwave or satellite radio. Otherwise, they'd have to use radio waves to send information. If you're trying to get information from one computer to another, you could have used a floppy drive, right? Remember those?
Yes,
You could have used a flash drive. Remember those?
yes,
Or you could connect them together with two cables, right?
yes,
And whenever you want to get information from one computer to another computer, they have to be connected some way, either by a wireless connection or by a cable connection. And cables are the fastest and the least expensive way to make all these connections happen.
they're the least expensive.
Yes, they're the least expensive. Yeah.
I think satellite would be cheaper.
No, satellite's more expensive. Satellite's more expensive than cables. Cables are used because they can run a lot of cables and transfer a lot of data. It's like having a big pipe. You know, when you want to have warm water coming into your home, you need a bigger pipe to have more water coming in. Well, glass fiber optic cables are about the largest size pipe you can get for data. Satellites cost a lot of money to launch, and cables are much less expensive, and they last for years and years and years. So cables are what make it work.
Mm,
Okay. So all I can tell you is what it's made of, right? You know, and so but it exists. It physically exists. Okay. So sometimes we connect over the internet on our cell phones, right? Okay. When you go to your cell phone and you browse the web, you can get a website, you know, you can get email, you can get maps, you can, order takeout food, things like that. You can do all that from your cell phone, and your cell phone has a cellular antenna that connects to your cellular tower service, and the tower is wired to wherever the cellular service has their data centers, and they connect you up to the internet and the cloud. So you can connect on cellular devices too. So you can send and receive text messages and emails and visit websites and get map directions, do all kinds of things. Okay, so smartphones connect up to the cloud as well. They just often connect over the cellular, but some of them have Wi-Fi connections. And then the home network class, we talk about the differences between Wi-Fi and cellular too. Okay, so that's how you get to the internet. Now, there are some terms on the internet. How does everything find each other? Virginia asked, is there a data center problem with oil service driving oil prices up? I don't know what's driving oil prices up. I'm not an oil industry expert. There is no lack. Now, one pipeline was hacked. That did affect the Southeast a lot because they were hacked and they had to stop running oil through the pipeline. But that's the only thing I know. There's not a data center problem with the oil industry. They use a lot of data and they're very wired and connected. Okay, so internet terms. How do people find each other physically? Well, you have an address. How do you send a letter? You send an address. If I asked you to mail a letter, you would probably know off the top of your head the things you have to do to put a letter in the post office box and send it off, right? Okay. What do you need? You need a stamp. You need a name, a street number, a street name, a city, a state, and a zip code. You need an address. And then you can just drop your letter into any US postal box and it'll get delivered. If you want to make sure it comes back to you in case it's non-deliverable or in case the person who gets it didn't have your address, you would put a return address in the upper left-hand corner of the envelope, right? Something we're hopefully all still learning how to do, but we tend to do a lot more things electronically now. Okay, so if the internet is a collection of connected computers, okay, then how do these computers and messages and pieces of data and files find where they're supposed to go? Well, they use two things. Websites use this thing called a URL. It's called a Uniform Resource Locator. It is a address. Whenever you see something that begins with www or has something.com or something.io, that is technically called a URL. It's the addressing system of the internet. So when you type in getsetup.io or zoom.us or google.com or whatever you're going to, your web browser sends a message off, your internet service provider carries it out to the internet, and there are special computers on the internet called routers that route the traffic, just like a train dispatcher or a truck dispatcher would route traffic in a railway yard. Say, okay, if you want to go to Kansas City, get on this track. If you want to go to Detroit, go to this track. If you want to get to Atlanta, get on this track. Florida is this way. There are physical boxes that actually route all the messages. And every time you send a message to the internet and get one back, it has an address on it. Okay, and that's how it gets to where it's supposed to go. And it comes back to you because every computer gets assigned what is called an Internet Protocol address. Your ISP gives all of your computers addresses so that you can get information. So Jim, that's how he met his brother on a bulletin board service. Those are old services, but they're still out there. There are lots of times they're now just chat rooms that are out there. So everything has an address on the internet, just like our physical addresses exist. But the idea behind making it easier for people to use is you don't have to think about it. You don't have to think, where is getsetup.io and how do I get a message to them? Okay, how do I send an email? help@getsetup.io will get an email. The internet takes care of it for you and makes it easier and easier for people to use. And Sandy, did you have a question?
Yeah, what's the difference between a URL and a www?
Well, the www is part of the URL. It's part of it. So it's the full URL includes a www, and the www stands for World Wide Web, which is what all web pages need in order for you to get to or from a web page. Now, obviously, we don't often type in the www anymore, do we? We just type in google.com or getsetup.io and we use that, right?
Right.
So they're making it easier and easier and easier for us to use the internet. And when when you're using a mobile app on your smartphone, sometimes you don't even have to type in any URL. If you're ordering, say, yesterday I was ordering coffee at Pete's. Pete's is my favorite coffee shop, and they're a small chain. They aren't everywhere, but I used an app to place a pickup order to pick up coffee at my local Pete's coffee shop. And I never typed in an address. The app is connected in the information and the software that controls the app to the correct address to get the order to Pete's. It's like magic. If I just said, well, what's the cloud? Well, it's magic. And in 5 minutes, the class could be over, right? And that would be the explanation. But I want to help you understand a little bit of the technology that makes it all work. Okay, so if you've got, your computer can do more than one thing, right? It can do email, it can, do PowerPoint, it can browse the web, it can, do all kinds of things. You can talk to it, it can play videos and Netflix, it can do all kinds of things. And these computers in data centers can do all different types of things. So cloud just doesn't mean storage. Cloud just means a bunch of services that are available on the internet, out away from you. So some of the things that cloud services can do are things like storage, and that's what we think of commonly, or backup, and they can back up your data. It's possible to share things by sending links to files. I don't know if you've ever gotten a link to watch a video recording of a Get Set Up class. Anybody done that? Okay, when you get a link to the video, right? So we are using a link to share the video file with people that we send it out to. So that is an example of sharing. The video file doesn't get sent to you in an email attachment, right? That would be sending it to you. But we give you a link where you can watch the video from where it's hosted in the cloud. When you click on that link, the video starts. So there's applications. Maps. Who's bought a paper map in the past year? Anybody? Anybody bought a paper map? Kathy, did you buy a paper map? You must have been really needed it badly then, right? What did you buy?
I bought a booklet of maps of the entire United States.
Oh, cool.
And it was through Cracker Barrel,
Oh, okay. Okay.
Countless.
but normally it's on my phone.
Right. Normally you use your phone. Stacy, did you buy a map? Go ahead and unmute yourself, Stacy. I'm sorry. Go ahead and hit unmute. There we go. Go ahead, Stacy.
My husband refuses to use the phone and the apps. He wants the paper map.
There you go.
I've
Hey.
tried to convert him. It's really a tough haul here.
Well, I mean, here's the problem with the map. Okay. As soon as you bought that paper map, it was probably 6 months old, right? Oh boy. Oh gosh. What? And that's no fun. I mean, you're looking, particularly if there's new roads and new changes and things like that, they don't get updated until you buy a new copy of the map. One advantage of keeping a map in a cloud is that whenever you go to it, you get the latest copy, right? Yeah. And you can even get information. You can even get traffic information and information on accidents and road closures and things like that. Maps are pretty, and see what traffic is like. I mean, I live in the greater Los Angeles area, and we get these updates on our maps all the time. And so that's one thing that happens in the cloud. That's one advantage of saying, wait a second, rather than everybody having to go out and buy a paper map, let's just give everybody the ability to go and get a copy of a map when they need something, okay? And they can see it on their phone or their computer. Okay. Email. Anybody use Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail or Apple Mail or Outlook Mail? Those mail systems keep your mail in the cloud. And when you connect, you get your inbox and your folders and everything like that. But you are actually keeping the mail in the cloud so that if you lost your computer or you get a new one, or your smartphone, heaven forbid, got stolen, or your tablet breaks, all you have to do is re-log into your email account and you get all your email back, right? That's because it's kept in the cloud. So we've been gradually starting to learn to use the cloud. We just don't often think of it as the cloud because these services are coming in. Your bank account is somewhere in the bank's cloud, right? But do you have the physical money in front of you? If you said, hey, I want to see my balance, it's an electronic statement that they keep for you in their cloud, don't they? And then the calendars that you might use, if you use Google Calendar or other calendars, they're in the cloud too. It's different from a paper calendar. I mean, obviously, if you have one paper copy, that means that it's with you, okay? And some people prefer that, that's okay. So some people like to use a desktop. Some people use a desktop and a smartphone. Some people only have a smartphone. Some people have tablets and smartphones and desktops and laptops. They might have more than one device. And the advantage of keeping information in the cloud is that when you connect up to it with any device, you get the latest copy, just like you would with maps information or email or other things. So it's a little bit different thinking. We're very much used to thinking, I got to keep my data on my disk drive locally because that's the safest place for it. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You know, it's a personal choice, but it's an option now to keep your data in the cloud so that you can get to it anytime and you don't have to depend on any device to get to it whenever you want to. So that's what a cloud service can give you. So just like Maps can give you. Jim, you still use your Rand McNally. I don't know if they had Thomas Brothers outside of Southern California, but I always had to buy a new Thomas Brothers map every year. Okay, so these are why you may want to use the cloud, okay? You don't have to. I mean, nobody's, forcing you to use the cloud. They want you to really use it. They'll encourage you, but you don't have to. So this idea of having a master copy of your information in the cloud means that instead of having to worry about what device you use or where you happen to be, because you can even access a lot of things from the cloud just by going to a website. When you want to get to Gmail, you just go to Google's website. They don't even have an app that you install on your computer. You have to use it with different mail applications, but you can just get to Gmail from a website. You can get to other clouds through websites as well. So having that master copy that lets you connect to anything makes it a little bit different way of thinking, okay? Okay, so let's talk about Apple, Google, and Microsoft, the big technology companies that run clouds that we can use. Apple calls their cloud iCloud. It works on Macs, it works on iOS devices, which are iPhones and iPads. It does work on Windows computers, and it's available through the web at iCloud.com. You get some free space. You get 5 gigabytes of free space. And if you need to add to that space, you can upgrade your plan to pay 99 cents a month for 50 gigabytes of storage. Now, this is not storage on your phone or your tablet. This is the storage you are using in iCloud. Okay, so when you generally have an iPhone or an iPad, you back it up to iCloud. That's how it's set up to back up. And so as you add more photos to your device, you typically start to go above the 5 gigabyte free back space that they give you for your backup. And so you might have to upgrade if you want to continue to back up your device to the cloud. Apple includes applications like Pages for word processing, Keynote for presentations, Numbers for spreadsheet. They integrate their Photos app into the cloud very, very tightly, so you can upload all your photos to the cloud. There's a class on that gets set up, teaches on using iCloud photo storage. And there's other apps too, Notes, Calendar, all kinds of things that are out there, reminders. So if you set up a reminder on your Mac and you go to your iPhone, it's synchronized, it's there for you. Yeah, Joni, you had a question.
Yes. So when they've told me, they sent me the message and said, you have not backed up in 83 weeks. It must be powered up or down or something and connected or something. And then the next day they yell at me and say, you didn't do that.
Yeah, well, the reason they want you to back up is because if you lose your phone or it gets damaged in any way, you will lose everything on it. Okay.
Okay.
Backup. So considering as most people now use their phones as their point and shoot camera, if you wanted to lose all your photos, that's an option, right? But if you backed it up, you would be able to restore them if you had to replace your phone.
And that would be the night, this, it's actually my iPad that yells at me. So is that the 99 cents per month thing?
It's monthly, and it's for all of your Apple devices, right? Whether you use iPhone, iPad, or
Okay,
okay. And
thank you.
Sienna, you had your hand up. Thanks for waiting. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Did you have your hand up, Sienna? Go ahead and unmute.
Okay, is that 5 gigabytes free? Is that for iPhone and iPad and Google together?
No, this is just the Apple Bank. This is
What
just-
about for the Google?
What? I'm sorry?
What about for the Googles?
Well, Google is different. It's like having your date money in a different bank. So Google's different. We're going to talk about Google.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But each cloud, so if you have something in iCloud, it's an iCloud. Okay. It's an Apple's cloud. Okay. If you have something in Google's cloud, it's in Google's cloud. Okay. Google has applications in Google Drive that works on Macs, iPhones, iPads. Apple will let you download Google applications on your phone if you want to. It works on Windows. It also works on Android because Google owns Android, the operating system that's used on smartphones other than iPhones. And they own the Chrome operating system that comes with Chromebooks, and you can get to it on the web. They give you 15 gigabytes of free storage. Starting a few months ago, they started counting all of your email that you keep on Google towards that 15 gigabytes, okay? And they have a plan that says you can upgrade your storage for $1.99 for 50 gigabytes. It's $1.99 a month, okay? And Google gives you the ability to store their documents you create in Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, Google Photos. There's a Google Photos app, that's out there too. And they have other apps as well. You can download the Gmail app for your phone, whether you're using Android or iPhone or for iPad, just depends. So if you're a heavy Google user, and we'll talk about which cloud might be the best one for you. They'll all do pretty much what you need. I mean, it's kind of like you can buy a Toyota, a Chevy, a Lexus, a Mercedes, a BMW, a Kia, and they will get you from point A to point B, won't they? Right? They're transportation, right? And so they all have wheels, they all have an engine, they all have a driver's seat, they all have a steering wheel. And so they'll get you from one point to another. And all these clouds will do that as well. And let's take a look at Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft has OneDrive that's free. They give you 5 gigabytes free. For $1.99 a month, you can get 100 gigabytes. And Microsoft OneDrive works on Windows, Macs, iPhones, iPads, Android, and the web. Okay, Microsoft 365, which is a class we do, a 365 overview, is a service that Microsoft has that costs $70 a year. And they do have free versions on the web for Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. They also let you upload photos to OneDrive and store them in OneDrive. So you can actually store your photos in iCloud with an iPhone and store them in OneDrive with a computer, with Microsoft. And they have extra features as well. But the basic OneDrive, they're all about 5 gigabytes to 15 gigabytes for free. And a lot just depends on what devices do you have is going to kind of determine which cloud is best for you. But you could also use all 3 of them if you want. Joe, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bob, I think you had a typo on the Google Drive because I just looked it up and you said it was $1.99 for 50 gigs. and Google says it's $1.99 for 100 gig.
Oh, okay. They may have updated
just-
that since I
Yeah, I
created.
just thought I'd mention that, so,
Oh, thanks. Thanks for updating that. Appreciate that.
okay, you take care.
They're not expensive, but some people just don't like to pay for now. Obviously, anything you store in these clouds is backed up as well, because they not only keep it in one data center, they copy it so that it's in another data center, so that if one data center gets destroyed by a hurricane or earthquake or whatever, or flood, there's always, your data is always available to you through another data center. So they make backups of their own clouds as well. The cloud business is big. Okay, this is not a small business, and this is why you hear so much about it. Amazon is one of the biggest cloud providers. They have something called Amazon Web Services, AWS. Last year, they did $51 billion in revenue. Okay. Uber, DoorDash, other people pay Amazon to use the Amazon cloud. They just built such a huge cloud, just like they're building so many warehouses and trucks and everything like that, that companies, they offer these as services. And one of the services they offer is you can rent space on their cloud. Microsoft's also pretty big in it. They have something called Azure. It's a $56 billion a year business, completely separate from their software, their operating system. They make $56 billion a year by providing cloud services to businesses. You can rent their cloud too. As a business, if you needed a cloud, you could go there. And Google's, oddly enough, the third largest player at but only at 16 billion, right? That's small change, right?
Right.
But these are huge businesses, okay? The others make up the remaining 40% roughly. This is from about 6 months ago. IBM, as you'd expect. You might have heard of Dropbox, Oracle, even companies, technology companies like Comcast and Dell and Hewlett Packard. This industry is growing at 25 to 30% a year. It is a rapidly growing business. Now, as consumers, we generate a little bit of revenue, but it's the business to business that comes. Helen, thanks
yes.
for raising your hand. Go ahead.
So how is this Microsoft Azure different from the Microsoft OneDrive in your previous slide?
Well, OneDrive is their consumer name.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Azure is their business to business brand name.
Okay.
So if you were a company like, Instacart, and Microsoft salespeople called on you, they would say they were representing Microsoft Azure. Whereas if you're a consumer like you and me, we'd hear about OneDrive.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, but believe me, our OneDrive is on Azure. Our Google, a drive is on Google Cloud. Apple runs their own private one. They don't sell services to other people. They just provide the services for Apple. But Apple runs a streaming business, right? They do that. So these are things that these all use.
In a way, it seems like you say that if there was a flood or something, all our stuff is on another data center. And
Yeah.
it seems like we're trusting them to be secure in our data, but if there's copies in so many data centers all over the place, I would be kind of uneasy about that.
Well, I think it's pretty secure. First of all, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google have the highest paid security people in the computer industry. And because they are selling these services to companies and governments, and Google and Microsoft and Amazon provide services to cities and local governments and police and other things, and even federal agencies. And they had to prove that they were secure for those types of things. And they keep their virus, they have monitoring tools, they have operations 24/7 every day that make sure that these systems are secure. So they're pretty good at it. Go ahead, Sandy, you got your hand up, and then Stacy, I saw you raised your hand.
What's the consumer name for Amazon Web Services?
Amazon just has an Amazon Drive that's available. I mean, Amazon has a couple of consumer services. Obviously, they have the Amazon Prime membership, and they give you a small amount of space for storage there. I think it's like 5 or 10 gigabytes like the others, but you can buy storage from Amazon. You can store your photos on Amazon. They have a music service where you can upload all your music. So Amazon has all of these services too, that are available for people. Just depends on what people prefer to use. And Kathy, who else had their hand up? Stacy, I'm sorry, you had your hand. Let me get Kathy.
So I want to make sure I understand, because I also get the same notice that the other lady was getting, where, you know, your storage is used up, you need to buy more storage. But if I take all of my photos and I dump them into Google Drive, Google Photos, and I take them off of my phone, delete them off my phone, am I pretty safe knowing those photos actually really are all saved on the Google Photo Drive?
Sure, you want to make sure. So your phone has, this is the disk that your phone has storage, right? That's a bad picture of a phone, but that's the best I'm going to get today. And then you can send your photos to iCloud, you know, or you can send your photos to Google Photos, or you can send your photos to Microsoft OneDrive. Let me call it OneDrive here, okay? OneDrive. So each of these is a different place you can store them. If you put them on Google and you delete them from your phone, they will still be on Google, but always double check to make sure that if you use the Google Photos app, it doesn't delete the photo from your phone as well. Okay, just make sure that you don't see that message. Sometimes there's synchronization between these two. Like if you use iCloud photo storage, if you delete a photo in iCloud, it'll be deleted off of your phone as well. Okay. And sometimes they synchronize. So always be careful of that.
So let's suppose I'm downloading all the photos into Google, and I check and they seem to all be there. And then I go back to my phone and I start deleting those photos off my phone. That should open up my iCloud storage, correct?
Oh, that's a good point. It does not do anything to improve your iCloud storage, because you've got your phone and it has storage space for your photos. And then you have your iCloud. Let me try and draw a cloud here, okay? And if what's in iCloud is in iCloud, and that's using up a disk drive that you have been given space for in iCloud. So deleting something off of here does not free up space for you in iCloud.
So how do you free up space on your iCloud? Because my photos seem to be what's taking up all the...
Well, your backup, if your backup is getting bigger and bigger the more you use your phone. So that's 5 gigabytes is not a lot of space to back up an iPhone. And so if you have, just a few hundred photos, you might be hitting that or a limit on iCloud storage. It just because it backs up everything you're doing on your phone. And so it's really difficult to get under that 5 cloud now. And if you have an iPhone and an iPad, they're both being backed up. So there are settings in iPhones and things like that that can tell you how much memory. When you take one of the iPhone classes, ask them if they can show you how to find how much memory you're using on your phone, and how much memory. You can find how much memory you're using on your phone, and you can find out how much memory you're using in the cloud.
Yeah, I have it and I can see it.
Yeah,
And that's how I know that it's telling me all my photos are taking everything up.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Usually
I'm trying to
photos
figure
that do it.
how do I eliminate that? So you're saying take the iPhone class and they'll
Yeah,
show me how to do that? Okay,
yeah, it's,
okay,
you know, learning how to use the cloud that you are connected to is really going to help you out a
okay.
lot. Yeah. So let me wrap up and then I'll stay on for a couple of questions after my closing slides. Okay. Okay. If you want to use Google Drive, take the Google Drive class, the OneDrive class, the iCloud class. I do classes on finding new iPhone apps, home networks, Windows 10 settings. If you'll get an email with some links to the cloud services so you can learn more about them. And you'll get, when you have the notes, you can recommend the class to a friend. We have some suggestions for classes. They don't always suggest the exact classes we might want to have you take, but go to the Get Set Up Guide class. You can search for them. And when you register for a class, invite a friend. So that when you're booked, you can invite friends. And if you want to get a copy of the recording, send an email to help@getsetup.io. Suggest a class. A friend of mine from my local neighborhood, Fred Carpenter, is hosting an iPad interest group. And so it's kind of more of a free form Q&A on all things related to iPad, and take advantage of some of those things. So let me stop sharing and I'll take one or two questions and then we'll get ready for my next class. I have something else coming up on Windows 10 basics very shortly. So any other questions about the cloud? Yeah, Kathy.
Can you hear me, Bob?
Yes. Yeah, I can.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. A couple of questions. One, Stacy was kind of going over what I was thinking, but if you upload your pictures from your phone to the cloud and you delete them off the phone, at any time you can go back to the cloud and then download it to your phone again to retrieve that picture?
Depends on the cloud. Okay. When you use iCloud for storing photos, if you delete a photo from iCloud, it's deleted everywhere. Now they do give you 30 days to get it back. If I don't recall whether Google Photos deletes the photo from the phone or not, but I know OneDrive doesn't. So when you use the OneDrive photo storage, but don't forget, no matter what cloud you use, if you're using it for photos, you're probably going to go over the 5 GB free amount.
So the next class, if you don't have an iPhone, would be the OneDrive class?
If you're using Windows, do you use a Windows or an Android?
Yes, you're on a laptop right now.
Okay, yeah, I'd take the OneDrive class. That would help you understand OneDrive and how things work with OneDrive.
And did you say the Microsoft 365 was like $80 a year?
It's $80 for a single user. A family plan, which gives you 6 users, is only $100, and every user gets 1 terabyte of storage for themselves. So, and it includes all the Microsoft Office applications too.
And that's per year.
Right. Well, yeah, per year. Yeah. Now 99 per year, $99.99 per year.
Well, that's a bargain compared to $100.
Yes. Carl, you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, just a little question that'll straighten me out on a few things here. So say I have a photo on each of my, I have a photo on 3 devices, and each device is connected to a different cloud, okay? I got 3 devices and each device is connected to a different cloud. Are you saying, Bob, that if I delete a photo on all 3, some clouds will delete and some clouds won't delete?
Yes. Yeah. I know iCloud deletes it with on the phone and in the cloud. Okay. OneDrive just deletes it in the OneDrive account and keeps it on the phone. And I'm not sure about Google Photos, but that's the drawback of each of them. So, but no matter what cloud you have it in, you can always download your photos to your local computer hard drive if you want to keep them there.
Right.
And that way they're not going to. I kind of decided a couple of years ago, I was just going to keep everything in iCloud. I use an iPhone for my point and shoot camera, and it organizes them. They have tools. Google and Apple and Microsoft have tools in their photo applications that sort your photos, let you search, do all kinds of things. So I just said, I'm just gonna, and I have 6,000 photos and I'm only using about half of my 50 gigabyte storage space. Okay, one more question, then I have to go, okay? Stacy, do you have a question?
Just really quick. Is there a class that teaches you how to deal with your photos on your Mac?
No, there should be. So suggest that. I mean, I taught a class in my local retirement community on how to organize photos on your iPhone.
Yeah, yeah.
The Mac is a mirror of your iPhone. So they work exactly the same way. The Photos app.
So putting like to put a photo in an email or on Facebook or someplace else, it doesn't actually work the same way, I'm finding. It's much easier to do it on your phone or your iPad than the Mac itself. Does that make?
Yeah, once you learn, it depends on what email application you're using on your Mac, but yeah, it's really simple on your phone. Yeah.
Okay.
Compared to, yeah, Mac just kind of have to, it depends on which email application you use. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Hey,
Thank you.
did everybody learn
Bye.
something? Okay, good. All right.
Thank you very much, Bob.
We'll
Thank
see you later.
you.
Okay, thanks
Thanks a
everybody.
lot, Bob. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hi.
Bye.